The Illini escaped Philadelphia with a 73-65 victory over Penn State. My name is Sonny Verma, your host here at Talk Illini, brought to you by the Orange and Blue News and the On3 Network. And if you're watching this for a second time, I appreciate you. The first time I recorded this, there was no audio. That just shows you how late of a night this is. But again, I want to talk about the victory and what this game tonight actually was about, because if you only pay attention to the box score, well, quite honestly, you missed the major part of this game. On Saturday night, the Illini went into Philadelphia and beat Penn State 73-65 at the Palestra. This was one of those wins that looks boring if you didn't watch it, but it means a lot if you kind of understand what the ups and downs of a Big Ten season are supposed to look like. It wasn't pretty, and certainly it was not smooth. And quite honestly, Illinois could not make a shot. They shot just 39% from the floor. They shot 6 for 27 from three-point land. And yet, Illinois never trailed. Not once. They led for 39 minutes and 39 seconds. That tells you everything you need to know about what kind of win, ultimately, this was. Brad Underwood said it afterwards, and he was dead on. This was a win when the ball doesn't go in type of night. Illinois didn't win because they shot well. Not at all. They won because they rebounded, because they protected the rim, and they got to the foul line. And they stayed composed when the game tightened up. That's how mature teams win. That's how grown teams win, especially on road games in this league. The Illini out-rebounded Penn State 48-37. They went 23 for 28 at the free throw line, and they turned Penn State into exactly what you want them to be, a jump shooting team that can't make shots. Penn State went 8 for 38 from threes, and Illinois was perfectly fine living with that. I think it was the start of this game that was the tone was set. Illinois jumped on Penn State early. They scored the first 7 points of the game, and after Andrej Stojakovic hit back-to-back layups, it was 13-3 less than 5 minutes in. Penn State tried to claw back, but every time they showed signs of life, well, Illinois answered. That stretch midway through the first half told the story. Penn State cut it to 17-13, and then Keaton Wagler happened. You see, up until that point, Keaton Wagler wasn't having a very good game. He had 2 fouls very early, and it looked like this could have been one of those rough Keaton Wagler games. How was the Illinois going to respond? Well, once Penn State cut it to 17-13, 7 straight points from the freshman sparked a 10-0 run, pushing the lead to 27-13. Illinois never let Penn State breathe after that, and by halftime, it was 40-26. And quite honestly, despite Illinois playing mid in that first half, that score felt about right. Let's just talk about the man of the hour, the man of the season, Keaton Wagler, because this at this point keeps showing up every single game. He finished with 16 points, but the number that jumps out the most, a plus 17 in 20 minutes. I will repeat that. A plus 17 in 20 minutes. Talk about a lack of noise and just pure impact. The Illini offense looked stagnant when Wagler had to sit out for foul trouble. When he picked up his 4th foul with, I believe, 19 seconds into the second half, the Illini offense just bogged down and looked like they had no clue what they were supposed to do. And the moment Underwood brought him back in, well, Illinois went on a 7-0 run and ultimately slammed the door. This isn't hyperbole anymore. Keaton Wagler is not just their best offensive player right now. He's clearly just their best player right now. And it doesn't mean he has to score every night. It means he organizes the offense, he spaces the floor, and he keeps the ball moving. When he's off the floor, Illini, well, they lack creators. That's a real problem. They're going to have to address that. But the fact that they still won this game against an opponent they historically struggle against in a venue that they don't have good success in, ultimately, that matters. I did also want to give a shout out to Kylan Boswell. If Wagler is the engine, Kylan is kind of the steady hand on this basketball team. Boswell finished with 18 points on 5 of 13 shooting, including 11 in the first half, and he hit the most important shot of the night, the three during that late 7-0 run that pushed the lead back up to double digits. He didn't force the game. He didn't hunt shots. He took what was there. And that's exactly what you want from a veteran point guard when it looks like, especially in a road environment, your teammates looked a little bit flustered. Also, the story of the game was the front court. Two very different nights. The game was fascinating in the front court because it kind of showed the Illini depth and also its volatility. Zvonimir Ivišić was simply outstanding. 13 points and 10 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds that felt like absolute daggers. Every time Penn State threatened to cut it to one possession, Ivišić extended the game with his physicality. He's a bull, and once he seals position, you're simply not going to move him. And then there's Big Z, Zvonimir Ivišić. This might have been one of the more important stat lines of the season. 6 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks. More than that, he completely changed the geometry of the game. Penn State went 11 for 19 at the rim, and a lot of those misses weren't even blocked shots. They were altered, rushed, and abandoned. Zvonimir entered the game already with one of the best block rates in the country, and I'm telling you, after this game, again, 5 blocks in 23 minutes, he certainly added to it. On a night when the Illini couldn't buy a jumper, quite honestly, Big Z might have been their MVP. At least he was on the defense. And that matters even more when you consider that Tomislav Ivišić, his brother, had maybe the worst game of the season. Tommy had 0 points, 2 rebounds, 4 fouls, and most worrisome, very minimal energy. This is not a panic button situation, but we're very close, and we need to at least monitor what's going on. The Illini need Tomislav Ivišić at full throttle if they want to make noise in March. This version of Tomislav Ivišić we saw tonight probably leads to a first weekend exit for this Illinois basketball team. If we can get Tommy back to even 80% of what he looked like last year, well, then all of a sudden you are talking about a team that could reach the second weekend and maybe even beyond. The good news, though, at least for tonight, was that his brother covered for him. And that's just one of the Illini's strengths this year, the depth that they have. Another what looked like a weakness, but lately has been turning into a strength, is defense. Today, the Illini defense, I would argue, was their identity. Penn State wants to muck games up. They grab, they bump, they armbar, and they dare officials to call everything. And quite honestly, the officials tonight seem to be tempted to call everything. And the Illini didn't always handle that cleanly, but ultimately they did stay composed. They held Penn State to 34.8% shooting, forced them into volume threes, and they never let Freddie DeLone take over the game. That was the key going in, and quite honestly, Illinois executed it. Whatever the game plan was, for the third straight game, Illinois executed their defensive game plan and now are up to 23 at KenPom when it comes to defense. Talking about top 4 offense and top 23 defense. That's why I'm excited about this basketball team. The bottom line is the Illini defended the lane, they rebounded, and they lived with contested jumpers. And ultimately, we all know that leads to winning basketball. When you talk about this game in the big scheme of things, the big picture, certainly this wasn't a masterpiece, but I do think this was a grown-up win. Illinois never trailed. They won while shooting terribly. They controlled the glass, and they closed when Penn State threatened. That's how you need to stack Big Ten wins. Not all of them are going to look pretty. Sometimes you're going to have ugly games. More often than not, they lead to losses. The fact that you can have an ugly game and still come out with the victory on the road is something to smile about. Illinois is now 11-3, 2-1 in conference, and 2-0 on the road in Big Ten play. But here's the quiet part. With Rutgers, Northwestern, Minnesota, and Maryland coming up, Illinois has a real opportunity to build momentum if they keep defending like this. You're not going to win every game shooting well, but if you can win on nights like this, well, you're all the more dangerous. Let me know your thoughts on this game. I know there's a lot of frustration when it comes to the Illini crowd and the folks that did end up watching this game. And I understand. To me, the fact that Keaton Wagler is so integral to your offense, while nice, we know he's a supremely talented basketball player. But what happens the next time he's in foul trouble and it happens against a team like Iowa on Sunday? You took advantage of a team that really isn't very good in Penn State today and came out with a victory. Are you going to be able to do that against top half teams in this conference? There's a lot of work on Brad Underwood's plate. I will say, though, with those aforementioned games coming up on the schedule, those next 5 games are all winnable. And now's the time. Maybe this is the perfect situation for Illinois to discover this, quote, problem. What is plan B? If Keaton Wagler isn't playing, how do you run this offense? You know, it's a bummer. It took, 14 games to try to come across this problem, but at least you discovered it now as opposed to discovering it in early March. You let me know what you guys thought of this match. Again, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you don't mind, make sure you hit a like button on this video. Myself, Carson, and JR are going to continue to provide you Illini basketball content and the transfer portal season. Look, we've got a quarterback visiting Champaign on Sunday, and hopefully they can lock it down. And I promise, if they do, either myself, JR, or Carson will be on here immediately afterwards, breaking that news and telling you about all the exciting news. Tell your friends about this channel, and until next time, ILL.